Welcome back to Saturday Sampler for August. This month's block, we're going to go over two separate rulers. One is the Small Flying Geese ruler by Eleanor Burns, and we did already show that in the April video for 2021. So I will not be showing you this. You can refer back to April's video for that. The other block that we're going to be doing is the Creative Grid Cat's Cradle ruler. And in this particular block, we have two variations of the Cat's Cradle. We have the Cat's Cradle number 1, where it has a large light triangle in the corner. And we have variation number 2, where it has a dark triangle with a medium lines in it. All right, so we're going to go over both those, Unit 1, Unit 2. It's in the directions, and we're going to go through the cutting of the pieces. So we did do the Cat's Cradle in October of 2020. That was last year. So the light fabric that I'm going to give you, you're always going to hold your fabrics on the long side, and your first cut you're going to make is 9 inches. That's a square for the flying geese. Then you're going to cut a 5-inch strip and make those 4x5s, and then you're going to cut a 3 1/4, and those are going to be rectangles, 3 1/4 by 2 1/4. Quickly, the medium, 7 1/2, again for the flying geese. Then the following 3 cuts are all at 2 1/4, subcut into 3 2 1/4 inch squares. You will only need 8, not 9, so you will not need the 9th one. And the very last one is the dark fabric. And the first cut you're going to make is 4 inches. Again, this is the long way, so make sure the dark kind of looks like a square when you get it, but measure it. And the long way, you're going to cut the first one at 4, and you're going to subcut that piece into a 4x5. The second cut is 3 1/4. And you're going to get 4 2 1/4 by 3 1/4 inch rectangles. And the last 2 cuts you're going to make are all 2 inches, and those are cut into 2-inch squares. These 2-inch squares, you're going to draw a diagonal line on the wrong side of the fabric. Okay. So on our pieces, each of the large rectangles, 2 small rectangles, and 2 squares yield 2 Cat's Cradle units. So we're going to cut all our pieces, which I've done for you here, and we will go ahead and start putting those together. Let's go over the ruler, real quick again. The ruler is the Cat's Cradle ruler, designed by Deb Heatherly. The first part that we're going to do is the mark my sewing line, and we're going to be placing our seams on this corner here. The second thing we're going to do is use these 2 sides and cut a 1/4 inch. And the third thing we're going to do is trim our unit to size. Now remember, we're doing a 3-inch finished. So all the finished block sizes are right here on the ruler. Explains how many to cut of each of the pieces. So I've cut 2 of these, 2 of those, and just 1 of the larger pieces. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is take our squares, and we're going to sew them to the ends of our rectangles. So it doesn't matter which side, but we have to do them both because we're going to make 2 units out of this. So let's take this one and go ahead and start. So we're going to just chain piece. Of course, you're going to have a lot of these. You're going to have 8 of these to do. But I'm just going to do these 2 so I can show you how to make the Cat's Cradle real quick. Okay. So we want to press these toward the rectangle, not the squares at the ends. And I'm using my wool mat today. So already we're going to need the Small Flying Geese ruler, the Cat's Cradle ruler. I like using the Best Press. It really keeps my pieces well starched. All right, once I have these 2 units, I'm just going to turn one around so my squares are on opposite sides and sew along this side. Don't flip your seam. So let's put these right on top of each other. And go ahead and sew these together. So, what we're going to do on this is snip our seam allowance before we go to press this. And the reason is, if I were to open this and press it in one direction, one of these wouldn't be going toward the rectangle if I pressed it in one direction. What I need is for my seam allowance to be pressed toward that rectangle and this one toward this. So if you look at where the two seam allowances are, there's one right here and one right here. We're going to cut our seam allowance centered right there between here and here. So now I can go ahead and press this toward the rectangle and this one toward the rectangle. All right, so let's do that. Next thing we're going to do is go to our marking area on our ruler. Remember, I said mark the sewing lines. This is the first area of the ruler that we're going to use. It's pretty hard to see, but my seam, I don't know if you can see it, but my seam is going through here and through here. It's a blue thread, actually. It's pretty hard to see. And what we're going to do is we're going to lay this solid line where it says place on that seam line exactly on the line. So it's probably hard to see in the camera, but I'm going to mark this. And this little intersection right here is right at the point of my square. So it's going to go pretty much from the corner, hopefully, right across that corner and right to the other side. Of course, it's a little warm, so my friction pen's having a small problem. Okay, we're going to flip it around, do the other side. So you see my seam that's going through here. I'm going to place that solid line where it says place on the seam line on both of those, right into the corner. And again, this line should come out just about on the corner. Okay, and we'll make our next mark. Now again, this is our sewing line, all right? So we're going to take our one-piece large, put them right sides together, and we're going to sew on each of these lines. And again, it's going to intersect right here in the corner, right where my nail is, and it's going to not cut off my point of the square here. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. And I do like to start sewing not in the corner, but on the edge, on the side. So we'll start here and come back around. You can pin if you'd like, it's no problem. But again, we're going to sew right on that line, trying to keep our seam allowances flat so we don't flip them, and right out the corner. Okay, flip it around, and we'll come right back down the other side. Just follow the line that you marked. You can use an open toe, or you can use your 1/4 inch. Just make sure you stay on that line. It's not a 1/4 inch from the line, it's on the line. All right. So the second part of this ruler that we're going to use is what I had mentioned, the 1/4 inch seam allowance. You can use this side or this side. They're both marked 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're going to place these solid lines on the lines we just sewed and we just drew. So for instance, I'm going to mark this one. I'm going to place this solid line right on the line I just sewed and marked, and we're going to trim that. So there's my 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, flip this one around and do this, and do the same thing. So place our 1/4 inch seam allowance solid line on our sewn line and trim. And that's all you get for a little bit of waste. So what we're going to do now is press this toward the large triangles. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that. And my lines have disappeared. I am using a friction pen. Friction pens disappear with heat. Okay, so now I have these two cat's cradle units. However, I need to do one more thing, and that's trim to size. So we are using the markings called 3-inch. So we're going to be looking at this solid line that comes right under the 3-inch and across. And we're also going to be using this dashed line that goes across our seam, which I'll show you in a second. And the last thing we're going to be looking for is the straight dashed line that's going to go right to the corner of the opposite side. So let's show you. So the first thing we're going to do, is we're going to place this. We're going to place our ruler, this 3-inch solid square, right in the corner of my medium gray, so that it just touches my seam allowance. So you remember this dashed line that was hanging out right under the 3-inch? Well, that's going directly on my seam allowance, straight across. So the 3-inch just touches it, and this one should come out to the edge, but it's not so important right now. I'll show you why. So let's trim those. We'll turn this around, and here we are again, looking at this 3-inch mark, just kisses the corner of this medium gray. My dash line's going across, and here's that other line intersecting right at the last corner that we just trimmed. So now we're able to trim these two sides. So there we go. There is my 3.5-inch unfinished or 3-inch finished cat's cradle. However, in our block this month, what we've done is we've added those 2-inch squares that we drew the diagonals on. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take our cat's cradle and we're going to draw our diagonal on the 2-inch squares, and we're going to place that right into the corner, sewing right on that line, trimming it, and then pressing it. So let's go ahead and do that. Remember, starting and ending right into the corners. We can go ahead and again use our 1/4-inch seam allowance on our cat's cradle ruler on either side that's marked 1/4-inch seam allowance. And what's great is these creative grids have the super grips along the 1/4-inch seam, so if I put pressure on here, my piece isn't going to move at all, and it's going to be great to trim. It's also on these sewing marking lines, again, so your unit does not slip on you. Okay, once I've trimmed these, just give this another press, and my unit is complete. All right, so here we are. This cat's cradle is made up of these pieces, which is clearly marked in the directions that you're going to pick up for August. And this cat's cradle uses these units. All right. So where do you think you're going to put your color this month? That's a great question. You can substitute the medium gray squares that you're putting here, so that would be 8 of the 2.25-inch medium grays. You can substitute your colors there. If you want them just in these little areas right here, those are the 2-inch squares that we flipped over. You can also put your color in there. You could substitute your color for anywhere in the block. I think it'll look amazing. Okay, so a couple of announcements that I would like to make. The August kits can be picked up beginning Friday, August 13th. Bring your finished July block to get your August kit free. We have an amazing blowout sale out of Bernina Serger until the end of August, August 31st, for just $3.99. Come on in, check it out. We'd love to show you how it runs. It's a very quiet serger. I think you're going to like it. Also, for my Saturday sampler customers, we have Finish the Bolts again for just 2 days only. Friday, August 13th, when you pick up your kit, and Saturday, August 14th. And also, we have a class, Mondo Bag, that begins Tuesday, August 24th and the 31st, and we are looking for students to sign up for the 6 to 8:30. So if you're interested in an evening class, we are open for classes. Please come in and join us. Have a great day. Thank you.